SpaceX's science fiction is now nonfiction. Its paperwork for their IPO just became public, so we jumped in T-Boy style for you.
And we learned that SpaceX has the best business on Earth,
Yeah.
the worst business on Earth, and a legally binding promise to colonize Mars.
With a Martian city of 1 million humans. More on that in a minute. But first, Jack, the very first sentence of the SpaceX S1 IPO paperwork, it was like a sermon at a church written by a priest named Elon Musk.
Here it is. You want to wake up in the morning and think the future is going to be great. It's about believing in the future and thinking that the future will be better than the past. That was the first sentence of SpaceX's IPO paperwork.
Preach! But the second paragraph of that IPO paperwork, it's a mission statement, which honestly sounded like George Lucas crafted that part.
Here's SpaceX's mission statement: to make life multiplanetary, to understand the true nature of the universe, and to extend the light of consciousness to the stars.
I'm sorry, is that chapter 3 of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, Jack?
Nick, I just want to point out, the only other company we have ever seen use the word consciousness in an SEC paperwork,
Who is it?
WeWork.
But besties, what follows in SpaceX's IPO paperwork is 10 straight pages of really cool pictures of rockets and space stuff.
It's like one of his 17 kids grabbed the computer for that moment.
Yeah, it was like the banks working on this were Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, and Chewbacca.
More on that colorful language, the sermon, and the sci-fi in the takeaway. But we wanted to see these numbers because SpaceX's IPO has been so anticipated.
This has been like science fiction. It just became nonfiction. So Jack, the bull case for SpaceX, what is it?
The upside story for SpaceX is found in their two OG divisions, space and connectivity.
For this segment, the key number is their mass to orbit. What is that? Sprinkle on the context, please.
It's measured in metric tons. So in the first quarter, SpaceX did 40 rocket launches and sent 556 tons of stuff into space.
That's a lot.
But interestingly, SpaceX lost $662 million doing those rocket launches.
Just got lost in orbit, I guess. But the space bull case in this case relies on something called the Starship. And what is that, Jack?
It's the biggest spaceship man has ever built.
Kind of looks like the opening scene of Spaceballs. It's just missing Rick Moranis. If you know, you know.
You've seen videos of this. There was a test launch yesterday, but there's never been people inside Starship.
And the goal, to make Starship the interplanetary workhorse that develops a lunar economy, hauls data centers into space, and one day, yes, colonizes Mars.
Get this, the word rideshare was mentioned twice in SpaceX's IPO document.
SpaceX is trying to be the Uber, basically, of the space industry.
Because they're letting companies share one rocket to split the costs of a ride into orbit.
But that's not all. The other businesses that SpaceX wants to hit in the future, oh, it is quite a list, my friend.
Asteroid mining, space tourism, manufacturing on Mars.
All future revenue streams. But Jack, what's the wildest part?
Elon will get a bonus of 1 billion shares of SpaceX if he establishes, and I quote, a permanent human colony on Mars with at least 1 million permanent inhabitants.
Besties, a Martian metropolis. Sit down, stand up, and blast off again. Yeah.
If he founds a city on Mars bigger than San Francisco, he'll get 1 billion shares of SpaceX.
Again, this is a legal document filed with the federal government on Wednesday, and we're talking Martian cities, baby.
Now, we assume he named the city Muskegon.
Or maybe Space Francisco. You know, you could play with that.
How about New York?
No one else has done that. I mean, it makes sense, Jack.
All right, so that's the first division that's pretty exciting, space.
But the second is the profit puppy, and that division is Starlink.
They call it the connectivity division because they have 9,600 satellites orbiting Earth that send internet down to us Earthlings who pay $100 a month.
Full disclosure, this Airbnb in Santa Barbara where I'm recording from right now.
Gwyneth say to you.
Yeah, so they use Starlink. If the power goes out during our recording, that's not a good sign.
So Starlink is a consumer business, but also like United Airlines uses it on their airplanes, and it is a profit puppy.
Yeah, $1.2 billion in profit last quarter, 10 million users. That's up double from last year.
The dream for Starlink is to eat up T-Mobile, eat up Verizon, and eat up AT&T and become the one wireless provider from all coming from space.
So, space Wi-Fi, colonizing Mars, that's the bull case upside for SpaceX. But Jack, what's the bear case downside?
The bear case downside is the division they just bought that loses tons of money.
Elon's pitching this as an upside bull case thing, but that division is shockingly the AI division.
The AI division of SpaceX includes Grok and X, formerly known as Twitter.
And it's losing incredible amounts of money. $2.5 billion lost in the first quarter of this year alone.
So that one acquisition in February of XAI turned SpaceX's income statement from an amazing growth story into basically a crime scene.
And the bear case is that Grok, which is not the leading AI model right now, remains behind Claude and ChatGPT and Google's Gemini and never catches up.
The bear case is that AI just continues to lose money forever at SpaceX, taking down the rocket and satellite business with it.
But Jack, I gotta ask, does it matter? Because when you're looking at who's running the company, Elon is legally the dictator here, I believe.
He will reportedly control 85% of the voting stock of SpaceX.
Yeah.
They created a special share class just for Elon.
The E-shares. You see, Elon says that AI represents a $27 trillion opportunity.
This was financially the wildest part of the S1. He says that AI is a $27 trillion total addressable market, which is equal to 20% of the world's GDP.
And Elon says 93% of SpaceX's total addressable market is that AI-related opportunity.
And that's why SpaceX spent 3 times more money building AI data centers last quarter than they spent on rockets or satellites combined.
What we're saying, besties, is AI is simultaneously the only reason to buy SpaceX because it's the biggest opportunity, according to Elon.
And AI is the one reason not to buy SpaceX, because it's the one thing with no sign of making money.
But Jack and I have a different opinion. Yes, it is financial advice, and it's our takeaway. So, Jack, what's the takeaway for our buddies blasting off with the SpaceX IPO?
The most important number to know about SpaceX's IPO is 15. As in 15 days.
Yeah, it is 15 days after SpaceX's IPO next month. They'll join the NASDAQ 100. NASDAQ actually changed the rules just for SpaceX to join early.
So on day 15, somewhere around late June, index funds will be required to buy SpaceX in order to replicate the makeup of the NASDAQ 100.
So if you own SpaceX stock on day 15 after the IPO, billions of dollars of funds will be fighting to buy your shares. The stock will probably rise.
But after that, Nick, after day 15, owning SpaceX stock is putting your full faith in one man, Elon Musk.
After day 15, SpaceX stock is basically an Elon trading card.
After day 15, if you own SpaceX, you're ignoring the $41 billion of cumulative losses since SpaceX was founded in 2002.
You're ignoring the risk, the competition, and believing in Elon Musk's story instead.
So there's 2 reasons to own SpaceX long term. One, if you just love Elon Musk and want the equivalent of his financial trading card.
Or if you think enough other people love Elon that much, that the stock will continue to defy markets indefinitely, just like Tesla has.
So short term, the stock looks great because of the 15-day NASDAQ index inclusion moment.
But long term, besties, SpaceX's stock is an Elon Musk trading card.